The characters in the play are Mrs. Dorothy Regent, played by Miss Margaret MacDonald, Betty Lou Regent, played by Miss Betty Webb, Bob Regent, played by Mr. Robert Bixby, and Frank Chandler, known to the Orient as Chandu, played by Mr. Gain Whitman. Time, the present. As the first act opens, Mrs. Regent and her daughter Betty Lou are discovered in the living room of the Regent home in Beverly Hills, California. Chandu, the magician.
Mother, how old is Uncle Frank?
Oh, he's just a year older than I am, Betty.
Oh, is that all?
Well, that's old enough, isn't it?
Don't be silly, Mother. Why, darling, you haven't a wrinkle in your face. Look at yourself in the mirror.
I know. I suppose it's a matter of the mind. I just get in the habit of thinking in terms of the calendar, you know. There's white magic in a mirror, but the calendar...
What's that, black magic?
Well, I guess if most women had their way, they'd stop the printing of calendars.
My Mother, you know very well that everyone takes you for my sister. And there isn't a girl I know who has as nice a complexion.
When your Uncle Frank was here this morning, he talked about my youthful appearance just the way you're doing. Coming from my own brother, well, it is rather flattering, I'll admit.
Uncle Frank and I'll start a club, the Mrs. Dorothy Regent Admiration Society. How's that?
You silly.
This will be circle number 1, and we'll have branches all over the world.
Your father was like that, too, always saying pretty things to me.
I can just barely remember him, Mother.
You were 3 years old when he went to France.
Did he have to go?
Being a regent, he had to go. He loved the sea, and he loved adventure. I think he would have gone roaming sometime, even if there hadn't been a war.
When his ship went down, he saved ever so many lives, didn't he?
Yes. He thought of everyone but himself.
How long has Uncle Frank been abroad?
10 years. He was in Egypt 4 years, and then in India. He hasn't changed. Just a little older looking, that's all.
Does he look like you?
Why, I never thought about it. I guess he does. He's taller, of course. He's very brown after all those years in the Orient, and his eyes were always beautiful. His face is, well, perhaps you'd call it the face of a mystic.
Oh, he sounds marvelous. I can hardly wait to see him. When's he coming over again?
He'll be here for dinner tonight.
Oh, won't that be fun? I wonder what's keeping Bobby so late.
He had to go to the library. He's writing a theme on India.
India? Uncle Frank ought to be able to help him a lot with that. I've got to write something on Egypt.
He knows a good deal about Egypt, too.
Well, here comes Bob now, Mother.
There you are, son.
Hello, Mother. Hello, Betty. Was Uncle Frank here?
This morning. But he's coming for dinner tonight. I'm expecting him any minute.
Gee, that's keen. I'm going to ask him a million questions about India. I've been reading about it all afternoon. Boy, that's the country for romance and adventure. Look, I brought home a book. Listen to this. With her 300 million inhabitants, divided into 80 nations, speaking 80 languages, and worshiping millions of gods, she is, as Mark Twain said, a country endowed with an imperishable interest for alien prince and alien peasant, for lettered and ignorant.
That's good stuff for your theme, Bob.
I know it, and I'm going to use it. Listen to this. A land of dreams and romance, of splendor and rags, of palaces and hovels, of famine and pestilence, mother of history, grandmother of legend, and great-grandmother of tradition.
Well, your Uncle Frank will tell you all about it, no doubt. He's seen India from the inside, and I dare say it's not as romantic as the books pretend.
Gee, Mother, I never realized India was so whopping big until I got to studying about it lately.
I don't know anything about it. When anybody mentions India, all I can think of is that song. You know, the one that goes...
Why, you have that group of 4 songs, Betty, don't you know? The one in the blue cover. I love those.
Oh, yes, that's right. The Indian love lyrics. There they are, right in the piano. I was playing one of them last night. Don't you remember?
What's that one about pale hands, Betty? That's pretty, but it's kind of sad and creepy, too. There's something about it that... I don't know what.
Oh, that's the Kashmiri love song.
Sing it, Betty.
Yeah, why not?
Well, if you like. Pale hands I loved beside the Shalimar. Where are you now? Who lies beneath your spell? Whom do people seem to have all the romance.
Say, what's the matter with you? I suppose you'd like to run off to India and marry some Raja prince or something.
Yes, I would. And ride on an elephant.
Well, you'd get seasick, and that wouldn't be very romantic.
Oh, is that so? I wouldn't say anything if I were you.
Well, say, you can't even go to Catalina Island without somebody holding your head all the way over. What I'd like to do is ride an elephant into the wild jungle and shoot tigers. Ferocious, man-eating tigers.
You would you?
Well, wait till you get through college, and then perhaps you'll have a chance, Bobby.
Yes, and I'll tell you something more I'd like to do. I'd like to be a member of the British Secret Service and go all over Egypt and Arabia and India and Ceylon, breaking up the dope ring and running down the diamond smugglers. I'd like to go to Singapore, the crossroads of the world, and Penang and the South Seas.
Well, Bobby Regent, if you don't quit reading Fu Manchu and all those detective stories, you'll lose your mind.
I will, huh? Well, who wants to sit around like a tame house cat in Beverly Hills all his life?
Wait till you've finished college, son.
Oh, of course, Mother. I know I'll have to do that, but college is a bore, if you ask me. I crave action. And besides, Betty Lou, if you don't stop reading romance and poetry and novels and all that stuff about princes and rajas, you'll end up by eloping with the chauffeur.
Indeed, replied the girl, tossing her head proudly.
Yes, and many of them, retorted her brother, reaching over and giving the girl's arm a pinch.
Ouch! You hurt, Bobby.
Well, dinner'll be ready pretty soon, Mother. I'm starved.
Stella has it ready now. We can't sit down till your Uncle Frank comes, though. He promised faithfully he'd be here, and he was always so punctual in the old days.
What's that, Mother?
Why, I don't know.
Have you bought a new bell for Stella, Mother?
No. Wait a minute. Stella? Stella?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ring that bell?
No, ma'am, I didn't ring any bell.
Well, can you tie that? Are we all getting goofy or something? I heard it, didn't you?
Why, of course I did. It sounded as if it were right in the room here.
There. I'm going to search this house. Somebody's trying to get funny with us.
I don't know what to make of it. If your Uncle Frank were here, I'd say he was up to some of his tricks again. Even when we were children, he was always pretending he was a magician and scaring the rest of us half to death.
Well, there's the telephone bell anyway.
That may be your uncle now. I'll see.
Hello? Mrs. Regent's residence? Yes, she's here. Yes, sir, just a moment. She's coming now.
Hello? Oh, Frank, we're waiting for you. Yes, Bobby and Betty Lou are at home now. They're just crazy to see you. Oh, you're still at the hotel? Yes. Why, Frank, you can't possibly get way out to Beverly Hills here in 5 minutes. But how can you get here? It takes at least half an hour to drive out. Yes. Frank Chandler, what are you up to now? More of the same old nonsense. Aren't you ever going to grow up? Yes. 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 Well, yes, we'll do that, but I don't understand. Hello? Hello? Why, he's hung up. Well, of all the silly...
What's the matter now, Mother?
Isn't he coming? Let's eat.
Yes, he's coming, but he told me to do the most ridiculous thing you ever heard of.
What do you mean, Mother?
Why, he said the three of us should shut and block all the doors and windows in this room.
Oh, why? What
and
for?
draw the curtains.
Well, our Uncle Frank must be a little off his bean, if you ask me.
And then we're to turn off the lights.
Now, if that isn't goofy.
Well, let's do it, and let's see what happens. When he gets here, we'll have the laugh on him.
Are you sure it was really Uncle Frank on the telephone?
Oh, yes, I know his voice. And besides, he called me Dot. He's the only one in the world that ever called me that.
Well, the curtains are drawn, and I've locked both doors. Lay on, Macduff.
But he said to turn off the lights, too.
Oh, Mother, this is a little too much.
Off they go.
Why, this is positively creepy. I don't like it.
There's that thing again. We all balmy or what?
I don't care for this.
It's just like Frank. He hasn't changed a bit. It's some trick.
Clever. I'll say that for Uncle Frank. Very clever.
Oh, my goodness.
Now you may turn on the lights.
Frank Chandler. Now, this is going too far. How did you get into this house? And into this room?
With the doors locked.
And sitting right there in that chair. Why, you scared these two children out of a year's growth.
Hello, Uncle Frank. I'm Betty Lou.
I'm Bob. You can't scare me.
Frank.
It's all right, Doc. Just a bit of old India. Hello, you two rascals. My, how you've grown. And now, when do we eat?